There we go. Let me make sure this is quieter. I have to figure out how to keep that quiet even though I make it quiet before we go live. All right, let me change to the comments. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our make along. Today we are going to create a card and envelope actually with the November My Monthly Hero kit. Remember that kit was all kind of mail art themed, which was really fun. Hello, everyone. Let me show the card we're making today. So this card here is what we're going to make. This one does feature the stamp set and stencils that were included in the premium kit, which is unfortunately no longer available, but the November classic kit is still available. And I actually believe you can tweak this card and make pretty much the exact same card except for like the snowflake. Let me grab it again, except for that snowflake border. Oh, and there goes my Christmas clock. Oh my gosh. All the things are going off. Let me grab my other card that I'm going to show you. I put it out of reach. Can you please give an alternative for the paste? The paste is pretty cool. What you could do instead is do embossing powder. So you could apply, you could ink blend with embossing watermark ink and then pour on embossing powder. The only catch is you have to make sure that first blending with the first stencil, which in our case, we're going to do Arctic, that's completely dry before you ink blend with the second stencil with embossing and watermark ink. I'll kind of talk about that while I'm doing the live. If that's something you need to know how to do an alternative to the paste, you can try to use a heat embossing as a possibility. So here, no problem. I hope it makes sense. Oh, here's another card I created with the November kit. There's actually a video for this on Hero Art's YouTube channel, so you can check this out if you want to actually see how I made this card. But I think you can basically create today's card with some of these images. And so you can get a pretty similar look just using just some different images, because there's a lot of images in the large clear set that came with, okay, great, good. There's a lot of images that came in the large clear set that would totally work for today's card. So I'm going to go ahead and move over to my other camera because today is a pretty intense card, which is why I chose it for the make and take, because I think or make along, because it's such a good one to kind of go over all the steps with. Like in real time. I think it's a good one for that. So let me change the camera and we'll get started. So let me change the view here. All right. And just let me know if you can hear me. Just give me a thumbs up so I know you can hear me before we get started. Again, here's our card we're creating. It's so cute. These peeking images are adorable, but again, a lot of great images in the classic kit as well. The classic, well, obviously this is included in the premium as well, but if you only have the classic with these, I think you could do it as well. Great, thanks for the thumbs up. That lets me know. Okay, so let's get started. So all the instructions, they're linked in this video as well as on the Facebook. They're there on our blog, so you can go to that and have the actual instructions and the list of materials. We're going to start with basically an A2 panel of white cardstock. I'm using Hero Art's Deluxe Smooth White. That's very good for Copic coloring because that's what we're going to be doing on this. So whatever white cardstock you like to use for Copic coloring, that's what you want to start with. And we're actually going to start with the dies. Let me grab those that were part of the classic and premium kits. And we're going to start with these postage stamp rectangle dies. These ones here. There's a small one and a large one. And if you know, on my card, I do have 3 sizes. So I'm going to show you how I make that third medium size. Hi, Gwen. Oh, you saw me in craft roulette. Oh my goodness. I think I might have been the person who took the longest ever on a card. No surprise to me that I took that long, but I felt bad. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm taking forever. All right, so we're going to start just by simply die cutting our large and small rectangles. I've got a new M press, which I'm super excited about. I'm really enjoying it. I had to do some kitting, and it was very handy for that. So to run it through, you're going to hear a little noise because it's electric. Oh, you love yours, Lisa? It's nice. This is my first electric machine, so I'm new to this whole thing, and I like it. I like it a lot. It's pretty nice. Okay, so I have my large and my small. Now we're going to cut one more large. Oh, thanks, Gwen. I felt like I took forever. I really did. But that's okay. That's the truth. I'm a very, very slow card maker. Because I have a hard time making decisions, choosing colors and stuff like that. Oh, you won't be disappointed, Mona, if you are gifted it. It is awesome. It's very nice to have an electric machine. Though I will never get rid of my manual one either. I love that one too. It's nice to have both. Okay, so I actually shouldn't put these away yet. So what we have is 2 large and 1 small. So we're going to do like a partial cut to make a medium one. So I'm going to put one of the large and smalls to the side. Grab that larger die, and you're going to need like a little piece of like tape for this, like a repositional tape. I'm going to use purple tape. And this. And pick it up. Oh, guys, thank you. So kind. And so I'm going to line this up. So like the die obviously has all these like, it's not scallop, but almost like a scalloped edge. You can kind of lock it in. So we're going to line it up about halfway. It doesn't matter really too much. I kind of turn it over to see if I'm getting that cardstock lined up in those grooves. Can you see that cardstock's lined up in the grooves of the die, right up against the blade? It kind of locks itself in pretty naturally. And I should have ripped a piece of tape first, but we'll rip a little piece of tape. And grab it again. So lock it in about, I think there. If I were to count, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 little nubbies, if you really want to know. And then I use a little piece of tape to hold that die in place and run it through my die cutting machine. And this is how we're going to get that smaller postage stamp. All right, pull that out. And we are actually we have only one more thing to die cut. So you can put your plates away. We just have our sentiment later, so we're basically done with our die cutting for today. Remove my tape. This little piece here is the bad piece. You can see that's why we don't have that nice edge. But on this one, we're going to have basically that same little corner like we do on all 4 sides. So no one would be the wiser that we had I think I made this one skinnier than my original, but it's totally fine. It's not going to be a problem. No one be the wiser that we didn't actually have a die for that one. Okay, keep going. All right, so now we are going to actually we're going to start by creating masks. So we're going to start to add those images, but I like to make the masks first and do that before, just in case I make any mistakes. So I'm just going to grab my Misty to stamp with. And again, I'm using oh, my cat's going to be noisy, so I apologize. I'm going to use that clear peaking, smaller peaking stamp set that came in the premium kit. This one right here. But at this point, you could use any of the images from this one here. A lot of these images would work. It doesn't matter that they are bigger, you know, that they have like these peaking images. Let me grab a piece of cardstock so I can show it. These peaking images are kind of cut off. Well, we can basically achieve the same thing with these stamp sets as well. We could just, with masking, or not, masking, you can kind of have them positioned off. Okay, great. Oh, hi, Libby. Oh, Libby's here. Yay. All right. So I'm going to get some scrap paper. Any scrap paper will work. Actually not scrap paper. I'm sorry. Post-it note. That's what we're going to use. So I have a full adhesive Post-it note. These are super handy for masking. Oh my gosh. Okay, my girls are going to get my cat out of here because she's being so noisy. So if you hear a little sound in the background, that's my daughter's kind of get my kitty out of here. Don't pick her up, though. Don't pick her up. Okay, so I'm going to stamp all three. Well, not all. There's a fourth image of a raccoon. I'm not going to get him, but I am going to get the penguin. So the penguin, the mouse, and the bear. And I'm just going to stamp them all at once. You know what, Piper, honey, don't worry about it. It's okay. Don't worry. She's not coming. It's fine. Yep. She's being noisy. All right, I'm going to use, really any ink is going to work right now, but I'm just going to use that. Can you hear her? Yeah, she's being noisy. I swear she's quiet all day, and then she finds out that I'm going to do a live, and then she's like, oh, wow, I have something to add. Just going to stamp it here on my full adhesive Post-it note, and then I'll cut those out. I'm going to cut around them real quick just to kind of get them separated from each other a little bit. Oh, for the little mouse tail, obviously you don't have to cut that out. Just cut it right on off. You don't need to worry about that. The hardest one here is the mouse just because of his little hat. That little ball. He's the hardest one. All right, so I'm going to fussy cut these out. And don't have to worry. It's actually better to leave a lot of Post-it note here on this, like the straight side of these images, because those will be kind of hanging off. And that'll give us a little bit more to kind of grab on and stick to our thing. And it's always nice not to have to cut something off. And when I do Post-it note, like making masks for my images, I like to actually cut into that black line a little bit, that exterior line. Get a little cleaner look that way. Some people like to use the dies. Well, there's no dies for this set, but there's dies actually for the, so if you are using images from the large clear set, you could actually kind of die cut your masks out instead, which is kind of a nice option because there's dies for all those images. The only thing is you're just gonna have a little white border, but that's not, I don't think that's bad. And man, that will save you a lot of trouble if you have a hard time fussy cutting or you don't like to fussy cut. So that's kind of the advantage of using those images from the large kit. Started with the hardest one first, just to get him out of the way. Here we go. And something like that. So that's my little mouse. He's done. Put him down to the side. Hello, Ginger. Now we're going to start with this one here. So I got super behind on laundry, which is kind of like my MO. I'm either 100% caught up on laundry or incredibly behind. So, and I think I folded like 4 loads of laundry this morning. It took like 2 hours. Laundry, I don't mind washing it. I hate folding it and putting it away. It just takes forever. I'm excited. I'll be excited to pass that off to my girls entirely when they're a little bit older and they can fold it and put it away all themselves. Do you move the paper or the scissors to fussy cut? I move the paper, I think. Let me pay more attention when I do this one. Yeah, I can tell right now I'm moving the paper. I'm moving the paper more. A little bit of moving the scissors, but mostly moving the paper. The penguin's the easiest. There we go. And that's that one. All right, so we're going to now place these. And we're going to do some ink blending. So I'm actually going to get my stencil mat out. It's going to do a great job of holding. If you don't have a stencil mat, if you have like Misty makes like a sticky mat, like also Cricut, your Cricut machines, those sticky mats, that would kind of work as well. Place my stamps here. Yeah, it's the worst, Gwen. I hate it. It takes forever. I think it's one of those things that's really underestimated how much time that takes. So I've got them stuck here into my stencil mat. I'm going to start to stick down, or my grip mat, and I'm going to start to stick down my images, just kind of where I want them to go. Now we are going to have a little border, so kind of keep that in mind. But if any line isn't quite going all the way to the edge, we can always extend it with like just a marker. And I think I'm going to adjust this just a bit though. Adjust it like that. Oh, he's so adorable. All right, and then we're going to do this guy here. Something like, zoom him down just a bit more. Something like that. And this one here. Okay, so we got our little images stuck down. Now for masking. So I didn't really explain this in the instructions, and I apologize for that. I didn't really think about this part being kind of I didn't really think about the border that I'm going to add. So for the border, I'm actually going to use the stencils, the snowflake stencils. Let me grab them here. See, this is where I pulled them out. Oh, here we go. So I'm going to use the stencils, but I'm just going to use the edge to help me. And the nice thing about using the stencils is that they are see-through. So it's a little bit easier to make that, get that gap right, that space right. Do you have a scan and cut? You can cut them out. Yeah, you could definitely do that. And do the same thing on the other side. You could, of course, do tape. The only downfall about tape is it's kind of just, you can't see through tape. So it's kind of hard to gauge that spacing and getting it, that border the same on all sides. Now for the top and bottom, I'm just going to use some of the acetate that was on the stamps. So here's the little backing for this guy. I'm going to place him above. And my grip mat is holding everything in place. If you use like your Cricut sticky mat or maybe your Misty sticky mat, those would work too to kind of hold your stencils in place. Let's just grab this one here. I'm going to grab the big one. If you have scrap pieces of acetate or even other stencils laying around, you can use those instead. I'm trying to use what we have we all have right now in front of us. All right, and stick that down. So again, you can use tape too if you want. If you don't want to do all this, or you don't have a sticky mat or a grip mat, you can use tape to kind of tape it off. But it is a little tricky to get the placement right. But you can kind of gauge by like seeing the edge of the paper, and that can kind of help. And now we're going to ink blend. I'm using Arctic, beautiful blue, like a chilly, frosty blue. Let's put this here. I should get my, there it is, my stand here. And we're just going to ink blend. Oh my goodness. They're so noisy. You can, I didn't make a little gradation, but you could. That would be a fun idea to do a little gradation. I think I just kept mine kind of flat. There we go. So that one is done. Now I'm going to take off my kind of masks off here. And you can actually go ahead and move the stencil. Oh, and I see I'm frozen. Hopefully we unfreeze. I love gradations. I think we forget about them sometimes. So yeah, I will happily take that one. I'll take the queen of gradations. They're just something, they're very easy to do, and it's something to keep in your toolbox of tricks because it adds a lot. But I didn't even add a gradation to this. All right. Oh, hi, Tracy. All right, I'm going to add the top here. I realize I'm frozen. I'm hoping it will get itself back here. Usually it just takes a second to get itself unfrozen. So I'm going to wait here. I'm just going to pause a minute. I just set up my my medium stamp, or my medium little rectangle, and I've set it up with my stencils like I did with the larger one. Oh man, it's really not unfreezing. Come on, unfreeze, unfreeze, unfreeze. Starting to get there. Starting to get there. Okay. All right. It's starting to get better. So I have my 2 pieces of acetate and my stencils. Now I'm going to ink blend again with my Arctic. Mist, if you have mist is a great color. You said mist, it looked more like, the mist looked more like Arctic. The mist and Arctic are pretty close. They're pretty close. Very similar. I have a swatch here. my swatch list. Yeah, so they're pretty darn close. I would just say Arctic's just a tiny bit more on like that teal side. All right, chugging along. Where can you find a swatch list? Oh, geez, Ginger, that is a great question. I am not sure. I will have to get back to you on that. I will try to figure that out, the answer out for that, and then I'll post it in the description. Can't you just use the frame from the postage die? There isn't, maybe you could place the die right on top. I'm not sure if I understand totally. Like you take this die, oh my gosh. Piper. Okay, I told Piper just to move Elodie because she's so loud. Sorry about that. Were you thinking about using that die itself as like a mask? I didn't think about that. I don't know if you could. Let me know if I'm misunderstanding. Can we see the kitty? Well, she'll come out. You know what? I'll have her come out at the very end. How about that? Thanks, Gwen. Yes, on top. Oh, to make a straight line. Well, it's bumpy, but I didn't think about that. I think it would kind of work. Obviously, it wouldn't work for this one because we cut this to be a different size completely, but would kind of work. I didn't think about that. That's kind of a good idea. That's a good idea. I didn't think about that. Okay, there's that one. I feel like I'm moving in slow-mo here. Let's try to do this last one. It will start to pick up the pace. Things will come along a little bit faster. I just got the ink cubes from Joann's. Yay! And we'll swatch them out. Okay, Ginger. Never mind kitty noises. Oh, I feel like she was being super loud. But maybe, hopefully it wasn't as loud for you guys as it was for me. I was like, oh my goodness. Thank you, Pipey. No worries. No, it was a good idea. I didn't even think about that. That's a good thing to, kind of consider every time. It's like, can I actually use the dye to mask? Because that would be super handy, wouldn't it? But these are working well. This masking with the acetate, I think works pretty good. And I'm surprised how sharp of a line. I'll hold these all up to the camera so you can see when I'm all done. The sharp line of the border just with the acetate and the stencils. Very, very vocal. My kitty is she is orange. She is an exotic. And so she's orange and kind of white. And she's got that smushy face. She's a really, really sweet cat. All right. There's the last one. I'm going to grab my... And look at how great these turned out. So cool, right? Even without the images stamped. And the only reason why I didn't stamp the images first is because, one, this now will stamp the images, and it'll allow time for the black to dry completely. Before we try to ink blend over it at all. So there's lots of ways to do it. I mean, if you wanted to stamp the images first and then mask them and then ink blend, you could definitely do it that way too. All right, I'm gonna just kind of place these in here. Start with our bear, and now we're gonna go ahead and stamp them. Hi, Michelle. Okay, I'm just drying it. I cleaned it and I'm just drying it. with my hands. Yes, she was pretty loud. Thank you, Libby. She was super loud. Now she's quiet. She's just now locked in a room, so she won't be so noisy. I'm gonna line it up. Well, it looks pretty good. If I don't get it perfect, I'm not gonna panic. Oh, and I do want to mask. This is where you might want to grab tape. Tape's helpful for this. Let's grab my purple tape. I'm actually going to move it. You want to mask that side, especially if you're using some of the images from the large clear set. Mask that side so if they stamp off the edge, you still keep your border nice and clean. Line it up. I think I was fine, but I'm just doing it as an extra precaution. Okay, that looks lined up. I'm going to pick it up with my Misty. Hoping my magnets will do their thing here and hold it down. I'm going to ink it up in Pure Arts Intensified Black, which is a Copic friendly ink. Yay, I'm happy you made it too. Looks pretty good. A little off, but again, I'm not worried about that. I'm going to stamp it a couple times just to make it nice and dark. I think that's it. 2 times, we're done. So I'm going to go ahead and remove that. And I will show you that I am a little off, but I hope that encourages you not to stress about that. A little off here, but really not bad. So it looks like my magnets are a little dirty. Let's see if I can't do a little cleanup on that. If not, I'll just have to live with it. Sometimes I can get ink to come off with just my eraser, and I think that kind of worked. Not always, but sometimes. Okay, I'm going to clean my magnets. All right, now we're just going to repeat that process for our other ones. So let's grab, we'll go down in size. Let's do our penguin here. Again, I'm going to tape off that edge just in case he kind of goes off. There we go. Plus it also holds that paper down, which is good because we're not in the corner or anything. Blissfully handmade. Oh, I like that. I haven't heard that before. That's very good. I'm just looking side to side to make sure it's lined up. I think we got it. Pick it up here. And we will ink it up again in that intensified black. Let's grab our scrubby here. Oh my gosh, that penguin is so cute. I love him. I like how you see his little wing, a little wing in there. It's adorable. All right, I think 2 times the charm again. So everything's looking real nice. And last is our little mouse. All right, I'm gonna start to put some of my stamps back. And let's use our tape. There we go. And grab our little mouse. Oh, I think his tail actually dips down into my border, so I'm gonna need a little piece of tape. And it's easy to kind of line the tape up because we use that ink edge from our ink blending. Okay. Almost there. All right, I think it's lined up. Great. And grab our intensified black. Now we'll take this ink some time to dry. Most black inks will take a little bit of time to dry. Oh, it's lined up so good. It looks great. So we're going to work on our background while the black ink dries on our postage stamps. We'll do the Copic coloring for them after that. But luckily the Copic, I'm not like the world's best Copic colorer, so I keep things kind of simple. So the coloring's pretty simple for today's card. But there's our little mouse. Oh my gosh, she's so cute. Okay, I'm gonna put that guy aside. And now you're gonna grab an A2 panel of Arctic cardstock. It's probably one of my most favorite colors of cardstock. That, mustard, and pesto. Those are my favorite Hero Arts cardstocks, I think. They're so pretty. And pumpkin, ooh, it looks almost white on camera, doesn't it? Pumpkin is also a nice one. I'm gonna grab since we're doing stenciling next, I'm gonna grab my mat here. Again, and push my A2 panel down on this. You don't need a grip mat or a stencil mat for this, but they're so easy. I don't have to tape down my stencils, so that's why I'm using it. It just makes things so much easier. Grab those layering snowflake stencils again. And you can see mine is very well loved and used. I use these on almost all my cards for the release. I loved it so much. I forgot about my other card I could have grabbed and showed you guys. All right, I'm just looking it over. There is like, in the lower right corner, you'll see Hero Arts. And then in the lower left corner, you'll see like a skew and then either 1 or 2. I don't know if I can catch this on camera. It's really blurry. But there's like a little 1 right here. So this is layer 1. So this is the base layer. Basically, the openings are bigger than in this one. This is the detail layer, and it does have a little 2 on it. But mine's pretty beat up because I've used it a lot. So I don't think you can really see the 2. But we're going to do stencil 1. So we want to do this one here with the bigger openings. How do you clean your grip mat? Well, this is about as clean as it can get, Libby. It will get stained just like, you know, your photopolymer clear stamps will. So if you use inks that kind of stain your stamps, it will stain your grip mat. But for just like general cleaning, so just be warned, it will stain. Doesn't affect its ability to stick, but it does, you know, doesn't look as pretty on camera. But for just general cleaning, for real quick in between use, I'll just use a chamois. If I want to do a deeper clean, I'll take it over to the sink with a little bit of soapy water and kind of clean it a little bit better. That's also great for when it starts to lose its stick a little bit. It just means it's got a lot of like dust and dirt kind of stuck to the surface, so it's not as sticky it's lost some of its stick. So you might have to just clean it then, again with a little bit of over at your sink with a little bit of soapy water and let it air dry, and then it'll be totally sticky again. But yes, it will stain just like your stamps will stain. I'm going to center this. Now, what I'm looking for when I'm centering this is kind of the border. I'm looking at the border around my panel and getting that about the same. So let's line these two up. Let's see how they look. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. So I think that's good. You see here, like the border, let me pull it down a little bit. From the top of my panel to the stencil, this space here is about the same down here. Same with the sides. From here to here, it's about the same here to here. So that's centered. That's how I know that's centered. Oh, one of the snowflake ends was bent, like in here. Sometimes you can bend it back, but I'm not sure. Yes. I haven't had transferring yet, but I think that is something you should watch out for a little bit, because I know, like with some inks, you clean them and they still, even though like that you can't get any more ink off of the stamp, there's still that ink there, and you realize it's still there when you ink it up with another color, and then you stamp and you go, oh, like I inked it up, last time I stamped it in blue, and now I cleaned it, and then I inked up my stamp with yellow and then stamped it, and now I have like green. So clearly that there was some residual ink still on the stamp that didn't come off with just water. So if you find you have some inks like that you're working with, that's a good point, Libby. I didn't think about that. You can use Ultra Clean. This is the best stuff to get rid of kind of that last little residual layer that doesn't just come off with water. Not all inks are like that. Just you might find just some inks are like that, where you learn by using that they kind of stick to your stamp a little bit more. Oh yeah, I've got a lot of stained and dirty things. I definitely use my stuff. They get put through the ringer for sure. If you want to know what something's going to look like, you can definitely come to watch my videos. I don't hide anything. It's real use. All right, I'm going to grab my Arctic ink again. And we're going to ink blend over these openings. Yeah, the cleaner is great. I love it. It's so good. That's Hero Art's cleaner too, if you're not familiar with the Ultra Clean. Did I say? I think I called it something else. Ultra Clean is really good. But I know Libby has that, so, and she knows all about that. She knows more than me for sure. But I didn't think about that, so she knew to ask. But yeah, because some inks, just like with your stamps, will kind of stick to your stamps, and you can really only get that final like layer off with a cleaning stamp cleaner. But even the stamp cleaner won't get off all the stains on here. It will help, but it won't get off all of them. All right. So just simply ink blending this, just keeping it flat, no gradations this time. It doesn't hurt to kind of do it a little bit dark though. What kind of ink did you use on your masks? I used Intense Black and it smeared on the blending. I used, did you use it on I used Intense Black. Did you use it on the Post-it note? Maybe it was the paper. I didn't go very heavy-handed when I stamped though when I stamped my masks. I just did one layer real quick with the Intensified. I didn't try to get it really dark. But yeah, it takes a moment for those that Intense Black ink to dry. So if it's not completely dry yet, it would probably smear when you ink blend it over it. So I'm sorry if that happened. Sorry, Sandra. But I did use Intense Black, I promise. But I didn't do a very, like, I just stamped it once. It was a little bit faint, but it was enough for me to see. I probably should have pointed that out more. good idea. I'm missing a snowflake stencil. I just make one from dies. This is a nice one though. It is a nice one. And here I had another one when I was going to show possibly another way to do this card without the premium kit since it's sold out. Pure Arts has another stencil. It's not it's not a layering one. So it's only one part. So you couldn't do like you'd either do the ink or you do the paste. Oh, good. I'm sorry, Sandra. I should have pointed that out. I apologize. I didn't think about talking about keeping it kind of a light for your masks. But I'm glad you like the acetate trick. All right, so that's stencil 1. Now, Mona asked earlier if you don't have paste. This is the point where you would dry this really thoroughly. So you would dry this panel very thoroughly with your heat tool. And you can always do a test to make sure it's ready for heat embossing by pouring powder over it. If it sticks, then wipe the powder off and then dry it some more with your heat tool. Since I'm not using heat embossing at all, I'm going to use the paste. I'm not going to worry about that. But if you don't have hero paste, that's what kind of an alternative you can do. You can use embossing ink and then embossing powder for this second layer of the stencil, which I've lost. Here it is. Another stencil is like the bold print flat snowflake stamp. Oh yeah, that's a good one. The stamp is really, really nice. I think I was going to look up the other stencil, but I couldn't find. I did not have time. So this is stencil number 2. Again, I'm going to line it. It's going to be easy to line up now since we have that first one down. But again, you can always make sure that your gaps are equal. It's another way to kind of make sure your alignment is right. I think that looks pretty good. Press it down here. I'm trying to keep track of all the comments. So if I miss something, please say it again and I'll try to catch it. I promise I'm not trying to ignore. Just sometimes I lose track of where I am in the chat. All right, so I have Hero Arts white paste, but there's a bunch of paste you could use. There's gold, which I have a lot of gold residue over mine. I do not think I did a very good job cleaning it the last time I used it. There's also glitter paste, which would be really pretty too. But this one's a little bit more opaque, so that's why I chose it. There's also a white pearl, which I think would be really pretty too. The other stencil is like the bold print snowflake. Yes, exactly. That's what I was thinking. Exactly. So yeah, you could use a stamp set instead. So I'm just going to put some of this paste down. So I do want to note that I have under my table like a little Tupperware or a bowl with water to pop my stencil in as soon as I'm done to kind of clean it, because I'm not going to clean it on, I'm not going to clean it here on camera, obviously, because I don't have a sink right here. I'm a dining room crafter, so my sink isn't too far, but too far for you to hear me. But if you don't have a bowl of water underneath or anything, you can just go ahead and clean up. I'll try to not go too fast, but of course you can always pause. I think you can always like pause it and then come back to it. So even though this is a live, you'll just be behind a little bit. That's all in the chat and everything. Okay, I think we're there. You do want to keep this kind of thin so it dries within our time frame. So it's pretty thin. I don't know if you can tell. It's really thin. I've scraped it to, it shouldn't be any thicker than the stencil because I basically scraped all that excess off. So it's nice and thin. I like to give mine a little squirt of water after I use it. I'm in Arizona, so I don't know if you know. On YouTube, you can pause. Not sure about Facebook. Thank you, Libby. Libby's helping me out. She's so great. Yeah, Yeah, okay, so not on Facebook, but you can pause on YouTube. And this will be saved, and this video will be saved forever on the channel, so it's not like it's gonna go away. Okay, I'm gonna remove my stencil. So pretty. I'm gonna tuck my stencil down the water. It's on the subtle side, but I love it. It's just really pretty. If you can see the little white details, super nice. And I have a little, it's not perfect. There's little spots where it lifted up a little bit, but it's totally okay. No one's gonna know. Oh, you spray the inside too? Yeah, I think it helps, right? Did I finish saying I was in Arizona? So everything for me dries out so fast. So I'm always like, let's spray a little bit of water in here. And I haven't had a problem with that with the paste. It's been fine. All right. And so I set that panel aside to dry. While that panel is drying, we are going to do our sentiment. So you need another little scrap of Arctic. And I'm going to grab the large stamp set, large clear set that was included in the kit. There's a lot of great sentiments in this set. There we go. Grab my acetate again. I think I went with, you can do Merry Christmas, Have a Magical Christmas, I think would even work. Especially if you use some of the images instead of the peeking ones, but if you use some of the images from here. Because this has a very Harry Potter feeling to me. So I think that works. But I'm going to use the Happy Holidays to You. And let's grab my Misty here. And we'll just kind of place it somewhere in here. Something like that. Pick it up. I'm going to add some anti-static powder because I am doing some heat embossing. Let's grab a tool. And let me grab my embossing and watermark ink. Gotta make some room here. How are we doing? Good, a little bit more ink on this. I just remember there's one thing I did to this that I forgot to write in the instruction. I just noticed it now to the sentiment. And I'll talk about it if I think we need to do it. To make it show up a little bit better. Because this is light cardstock, obviously. Oh, I see I'm frozen again. So I am going to wait a second here. Just getting my embossing powder, so not missing much. Let's see. Oh, yeah. There. Okay, just wait a minute. Let's give it a little time to catch up if we're falling behind. Because I have to wait. Unfreeze, unfreeze. Just checking on my paste here. It's already almost dry. I love that. The paste dries really fast, which is great. Come on, unfreeze, unfreeze. Oh, I don't have to use my computer. It's not the best. Uh-oh. Come on. It's so weird because it doesn't say I'm having any problems. Usually it gives a warning. It's like really frozen. All right, I guess I'm gonna have to move to my computer. Darn it. All right, I'm gonna try to do that real quick. Since it's totally not working. That aside. Oh. Okay, it's coming back. Come back. All right, it's coming back. Yay, I don't have to switch my computer. So I just dipped it in white embossing powder. I know it's probably really, really hard to see. There you go. Now I'm going to heat set with my heat tool. Here we go. There's our sentiment stamped and heat embossed. Now I'm going to grab the coordinating die. So this is awesome that the die set includes dies for the sentiments. I love that. I always appreciate it so much because I use them a ton. So there's the one for the happy holidays. I gotta turn my die cutting machine back on. Okay, I'm just gonna line it up. I'll grab a little piece of tape. Hold that in place. Looks good. Okay, run that through. And there's our sentiment. I know it's a little difficult to read. I'll show you because the Arctic cardstock is so light, and then we did white heat embossing, which is also light. I will show you kind of what I did to make that darker, just to make it a little bit more legible. So on this one here, I think you can see it a little bit better. That's because all I did after I stamped it, heat embossed it, and die cut it out, I just ink blended over that. Is that magnetic matte self-healing? No, so that's why I have a couple mistakes. So I messed up 2 times. So I have to make sure the die blades are facing up. But to make this a little bit more, like the contrast a little bit greater, I just ink blended over that. So that's what we're gonna do real quick here. And that's gonna help. So I'm gonna just grab my, I think I have plenty of residual ink in here, but I'll grab my ink just in case. Oh, there goes my cuckoo clock. I forgot to turn it off, so you guys are gonna hear it. I apologize. So we're an hour into this. We're almost done though. We're on a home stretch. Oh, this is helping a ton. It's just darkening up the cardstock, and it's all gonna match because this is exactly what we did on the panel. We ink blended with Arctic on top of Arctic cardstock. So everything's going to be the same. We don't have to worry about, you know, if you were to stamp this on white cardstock and then ink blend with Arctic, it's not going to be exactly the same because you're not the exact same. The color won't be exactly the same because you're not the exact same scenario. Or yeah, tad a bit of ink over. And that really helps. So much better to read now. And like I said, everything's going to match. because all the conditions are the same. Okay, now we're finally ready to Copic color. I'm gonna check my matchy. Yep, I'm very worried about things being matchy. Just, you know, when you take those photos and you go, gosh, it doesn't look right. And you go, oh yeah, that's why. And then you're like, if I'd only did that one thing, it'd be so much better. I hate when I make a silly mistake on a card design and it kind of ruins the whole thing. And I know what I needed to do to make it so much better. I've often remade cards in those scenarios. All right, I'm just gonna grab my inks here. And let's zoom in a little bit. Oh, I can't do that with this. I'm used to Instagram. I can't do that. I'll hold it up is what I'll do. Got all my ink colors here. I'm just gonna start with a little bit. Grab my colors blender. I'm just gonna see if my ink is dry. That's all I'm trying to do here. So I'm coloring over it. And just to see, and it's not moving. I'm not getting any like bleeding. So I think I'm good to go. If you've noticed when you color with your Copics and it's still not dry, hit it up with your heat tool. That will help. Okay, for the bear, we're going to start with the snout and the inner ears, because that's just our light ear combo. Excuse me. And these are the two we're going to use, E30 and E31. So this is just the snout. And the ears. And then I'm going to grab E31. Just going to add a little color, a little shading. It's very subtle because these colors are super light. And because they're so light, I'm not even going to like blend them. I'm going to stop there. Now for the body, we're going to start with E31. Then we'll move on to E33 and E35. So really kind of very much like in order almost. Oh, I hope it gets easier. I feel like I don't feel like I'm a very good Copic color at all. I try to keep it simple because I don't think it has to be complicated. Yeah. You know, it could look amazing. Like people who spend a lot of time and really know their light source and their shadows, they look amazing. But it's just like a different look. We're going for a more like cartoony sort of, more simplistic look, which I don't think is bad at all. We're not trying to go for super realism. So just laid a base of that E31. Now I'm going to grab E33. And we're going to do a gradation that kind of starts from the belly and works up. And we'll do a little bit on the parts of the ears that touch the body. This E33 is a little on the dry side. That's okay though. I don't need too much. And I'll blend it out better with my E31. So just doing that, those parts of the ear. And now I'm going to grab E35. I just got a refill for this. Now I realize I need a refill for E33 now. As soon as I buy a refill for one, eventually I'll have all the refills. Yes, I agree, Kim. Exactly. That's why I love layering stencils too. It makes it look like I can color. It makes it look like I can do seamless gradations. Because I can just ink blend them. I can ink blend them way better than I can color them. This is E35, just because my E33 is so dry, I'm having to use mostly E35 here. And I'm going to blend this out. You can see it's pretty harsh. I'm going to blend it out pretty heavily with my E31. Okay, that's pretty good. I got just colored outside the lines a little bit here. I'll hold it up to the camera in just a second. Kind of clean up a little. And if I can't clean it up with my color blender, I'll use a white gel pen. But there we go. Bear's almost done already. That was the hardest part. And actually the bear's body, that right there, everything is much easier after that. I think the penguin's pretty easy. He's the hardest one just because he's got such a big area that needs that to get that gradation. That's where I struggle, having a nice smooth gradation over a bigger area. Okay. Now I'm going to grab E37 for his little nose. That's going to be the base. And then E29. Had a little gradation on that as well. Go back to that E37, just kind of blend it out a smidge. Just a smidge. There we go. So that's what we have so far. Now for the scarf, I just have two blues picked out, BG10 and BG34. These are pretty similar, I think, to the Arctic. So we'll color that first with the base of that BG10. Then I'll grab the 34, add a little shadow to that under part of the scarf. Little shadow here where it's overlapping a little bit. Hold it up so you can see. Like that. And then I'll blend it out with my BG10. Okay. Home stretch. Bear is done. Oh my gosh, he's so cute. I didn't even add rosy cheeks to him, which I normally would do, but I kind of forgot to do that. And he's still cute. Okay, on to the penguin. I have 4 grays picked out for him. C1, C3, C5, and C7. We're going to start with C1, our light. Color the whole penguin with that. Really focus on the top of the head. Well, that's where you're really going to have that light gray be most visible. The postage stamp is so fun, isn't it? I love how you can kind of like put whatever you want inside. It's such a fun concept. And I think oops, is this 5? I need to do 3. I think we naturally like stamps just being card makers too. So it's a good match. So this is C3, starting to create the gradation, similar to the bear where we're starting from the belly and moving up. There we go. Now on to C5. Yes, you definitely need to get them out and use them. I agree. color a little bit of his wing, but I'm not going to color the tip. I'm going to keep that light gray so it has contrast with the rest of his body. Oops, and I totally colored outside of the lines. For shame. I'll have to clean that up. I made a big mistake. I'll do that last. It's not mine either, I don't think, Ginger, but it's fun to kind of do it every once in a while, a little bit. This is C7, so just a tiny bit of this. And now we're going to start blending. We're going to go back through our colors and blend out. Excuse me. So back to C5, blending out that transition between the C7 and our previous C5 area. Just kind of blending that out. Then we'll go to C3. Again, blend that out, that transition between the C5 and the C3. And then finish with a little bit of that C1 at the very top. Okay. Oh, and I forgot to do his wing here. There we go. Cute. Okay, now I gotta clean up that big boo-boo that I made right there on his face. Grab my colors blender. Try to pick that up. I might have to resort to a gel pen, but that's not. I'd almost do that every time I Copic color anyway, so I'm always coloring outside of the lines. I was able to pick up most of it. There's still a little bit of gray there, but we'll clean that last little bit up with the white gel pen. All right, his beak, that's all you have left on him. He's almost done. I have 2 yellows. We're going to start with Y15. And then YR23 is our dark. Kind of add a little shadow. Ugh, has a hard time focusing. And that's our little penguin guy. Oh my gosh, he's adorable. He's my favorite. I'm going to do a quick cleanup because it's going to drive me nuts with my white gel pen real quick. Oh, now it's so much better. Telling you, white gel pen. I don't know who came up with that for cleanup, but they're brilliant. Works so good. All right, and our little mouse. He's going to be brown, more of a darker brown. And we're going to start with 35. Just because my 33 is really, I'm out of ink. So I think I have 33 in the instructions, but I'm going to do 35 instead because my 33 is pretty dry. So I'm going to color his body completely with 35, E35. Not color his nose, obviously, or the inner part of his ears. All right, and then we'll move on to E37, which is what we used earlier on the bear's nose. Color his body basically completely with that E37, so not his head, but just his body. And a little bit on his paw. I'm going to add a little bit to the part of the ear that touches the head. That kind of outer, like a horseshoe almost. And I'm going to add a tiny bit to the side, the left side of his face, just a tiny bit. Create a little gradation there. Okay. Blend it all out now with my E35. Blend out that transition between that lighter brown and the darker brown. So it's a nice smooth gradation. I'm going to grab my 31, just kind of blend out a little bit more. Okay. There's our little mouse. The ears and the nose, I actually have two pinks, even though it's small, but the inner part of the ears is actually kind of big. I'm going to start with my lighter pink, which is RV11. Color in that inner ear. I'm not even going to bother with this for the nose. We're going to use our darker pink for the nose and create a little gradation on the ear. This is R22. Color that nose as well. Blend it out a little bit with that RV11, that lighter pink. And then we just have the little hat. That's going to be our blue combo that we used earlier on the scarf, which is BG10 and then BG34. And we are almost done here. Home stretch. Just going to color the whole hat with that BG10, that light. Grab the BG34, add a little shadow. Give it a little color, little blend. Since I was sloppy, I'm going to add a little bit of white to the trim of the hat. And there it is. Ugh. All done. There he is. So cute. Okay, we are home stretch ready to put this whole card together. Oh, I forgot about the envelope. Okay. We have the envelope real quick to do as well. So for the envelope, you're going to grab your stencil again. And you will need, I'll have to quickly clean my one that's in the water. It'll just take a second. Most of that paste is fallen off. Dry it real fast. Thanks, Gwen. All right. And doesn't matter which side you, as long as the words and the letters are upright, you know you have the stencil facing you, but it doesn't matter which end you use. I'm just going to use this one here. And line it up like that. And grab my Arctic again. You may, let me center it. You may want to put something, actually, you may want to do it. No, we'll do it like this. You might want to stick something here to protect. Maybe I'll use tape. I don't want to use tape. I hate using tape. I'll use a piece of acetate. There we go. Just to protect this from me maybe over blending, like blending off. All right, we'll stick that here. Just kind of place it over. This is just to protect the rest of my envelope for when I blend. This is stencil 1, so this is the one with the bigger openings. And I'm going to blend this lightly. That's the catch here. You want to blend this one lightly. So don't go very heavy-handed with this one. Keep it kind of light. That's it. Calling it done. So kind of light. That's good. That's what we want. Now we're going to grab this one here. And I think this is the right one. Yep. Line those Oh, my cat's back. Don't worry about it, kiddo. Just leave her be. Oh, you know what? Just in time too, because then I can bring her up on stage. But she might be loud. All right, so now that I've got stencil number 2 here in place, I'm going to be very heavy-handed with my ink blending. This is how we're going to get that contrast. Have it light in that first stencil, and then for the second layer, we do it really dark. And that's how we're going to get that contrast. So almost done here. These stencils were really fun to play with for the envelopes. I really enjoyed kind of considering the envelope. I don't normally do that. Look at how pretty. Oh my gosh, it turned out so good. So pretty. And it'll just match with everything. See how everything matches? Oh, I love it. Okay. Time to wrap it up. My paste is dry, so let's adhere it onto a card base. Let me grab one real quick. I forgot to get that. So I got an A2 top folding double white card base. We're going to stick it down with our liquid adhesive. Oops, sorry, bumped the camera. All right. Hold that down just for a second. I am going to use foam adhesive though for our penguin and, well, our postage stamps and our sentiments. Let me grab some. I think I'm going to use a piece of press and seal to get everything lined up just the way I want it. So, oh my gosh, they're so cute. Okay. If you're worried, I did everything straight. There's no reason they have to be, they don't have to be straight. If you're worried about getting everything nice and straight, you can easily just angle all those postage stamps and it'll still look super cute. And then you don't have to worry about having things straight. Just for consistency, I'll do it the same way. I kind of made the original. That overlapping. Whoop. And this one's a little bit smaller than my first, but that's okay. The natives are getting restless. My kids are tired of being quiet. The giggles are starting. Almost done here. Oh my gosh. It's hard to move everything with the paste. Okay, there we go. I think that's good. Grab my piece of press and seal. Pick everything up there. Great. Can always do a little fine tuning at this point. And then grab my foam adhesive. grab some thicker strips just so it goes a little bit faster. What's the reward? Well, they're going to get lunch, which isn't much of a reward, is it? Well, I'll feed them lunch. But I don't know. Maybe they'll have they're good girls, and they had kind of like a treat yesterday. They got to go have boba. They like to have boba drinks, and so they got to do that yesterday. And this morning I made pancakes, so they're doing all right. Maybe they can have one of their candies. Yeah, lunch isn't much of a treat, is it? But I know they're getting hungry. But they're very good. They've been very good. Today was a little bit of a longer live. I knew it was going to be because if you got Copic coloring, it's going to take some time. All right, I think we'll do one last piece. There we go. That looks pretty good. I'm going to grab my tweezers. This is the best way I've found to get back. I have the hardest time getting my backing off of my foam adhesive. Where'd my Hero Arts tweezers go? Here they are. So I like kind of stab them and then lift up. And it works so good. Just kind of stab it in, and that really helps for me to get that foam adhesive off. Every once in a while I have one piece though, it just gives you trouble. You do the same thing? Great. Ginger, great minds think alike. It took me a long time to come up with this. I was getting really frustrated one day and I was like, I just started stabbing it. And that's when I was like, oh, this actually works. But I'm telling you, those little tricks you've come up with sometimes, they are like very subtle game changers. All right, we're going to stick this down. I'm going to stand up to do this. Try to get it straight. And I can even add a little bit of glue under this sentiment just because he's only being held onto the card by a little bit of that, well, a fair amount of foam adhesive, but that other part's kind of hanging off. So I kind of get it to lay flat. Just add a little bit of glue behind it. And that's it. Look at how fun this card is. A lot of work, but totally worth it. And this was a good one, I think, to do for the make along because it really had a lot of kind of techniques of partial cutting, masking, Copic coloring, paste even. So a lot of good ones in this one to kind of go over again and just kind of share. But it's so cute. I love it so much. And of course, we even made a matching envelope. I mean, come on. That is going to be so fun to open up that envelope and find that it matches the card. Super cute. All right, guys, I'm going to turn the camera to my face real quick. All right, everybody, thank you so much for spending the afternoon or really whatever time it was for you guys creating this card with the Novemeber kit. The classic kit is still available, and I definitely think you can create a version of this card with, let me grab it here. I keep putting it out of reach. With the images from the classic kit as well. Just basically, it would be exactly the same. You could just use, I would use the owl. Whoops, I'm losing my mind here. I'd use the owl and probably some of the mice in the packages. Those would be really cute on a card as well. All right, guys, I will see you. Actually, so we have another live coming on. Oh, we have the stamp along coming soon. So that's going to be something you want to look out for. If you're not signed up, definitely check it out. It's a mixed media stamp along. And I know a lot of card makers are kind of like, oh, mixed media, like that's scary. But I think there's a lot of things you can go through and like learn, like just this little bit of paste that we did today. That's technically mixed media because we're using multiple media on the background. So it doesn't have to always be so like kind of artsy looking. It can definitely be a great way to learn different techniques and learn how to use different mediums a little bit. So, and kind of combine them on your card. So check out this. If you haven't checked it out, check out the new stamp along, which is coming January 20th. You can still sign up. It is mixed media, but I think it's going to be a really exciting one. And if you are signed up for that, I will see you live on Wednesday. There we go. Yes, exactly. Oh, a mixed media. Yeah. This PM. Is it to the mixed media live one? I think I'm not signed up for that one, but I will do that one soon. I haven't done that mixed media yet. But I'm talking about the stamp log. We're going to do a kind of supply list overview on Wednesday if you're signed up. Oh, Kitty, where's Elodie? Do you want to pick her up? She's going to be mad. Elodie, come here, kitty, 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 kitty. Come here, Elodie. Let's see if she'll come. I don't know if I'm going to get her. I'll walk. Hold on. Let me grab her. I know. She doesn't like to be held. So I'll hold her up one more time. She does not like it. It scares her. Oh, there's no mixed. Thank you, Libby. There's no live for the mixed media group. That's what I was thinking, where we were getting a little confused. Sorry, that's all you're going to get. She hates to be held. But thank you, guys. I will see you in the next one. Bye, everyone.